When we talk about the US government hunting UFOs, everyone mentions Project Blue Book. It's the famous one. It's the one with the TV show. But Blue Book was just the public face of the investigation. It was the cleanup crew. The real investigation, the raw, unfiltered, and terrifying search for the truth happened years earlier. It happened in the late 1940s, right after World War II. When the skies over America were suddenly filled with impossible machines. The Air Force launched 2 secret projects before Blue Book. The first was Project Sign, the project that actually admitted aliens might be real. The second was Project Grudge, the project designed to destroy that truth and silence the witnesses. This is the story of how the US government went from believing in extraterrestrials to debunking them all in the span of 3 years. Welcome to the lost files of Project Sign and Project Grudge. The year is 1947. The world has just survived World War II, but a new fear is rising. In June, pilot Kenneth Arnold sees 9 high-speed discs over Mount Rainier, Jet. In July, something crashes in Roswell, New Mexico. The US military is in a panic. They ask a simple question. Are these Soviet secret weapons? If the Russians had technology that could outrun American jets, the Cold War was already lost. On September 23, 1947, a high-ranking general named Nathan Twining wrote a classified memo that changed everything. He wrote, "The phenomenon reported is something real and not visionary or fictitious." Basically, the general said, "We aren't imagining this. These things are real metallic objects." Based on this memo, the Air Force established Project Sign in early 1948 at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Their mission? To find out if the Earth was being visited. Project Sign was different from what came later. The men working on it weren't debunkers. They were honest investigators. They classified UFOs into 4 categories: Soviet tech, secret US tech, hoaxes, and interplanetary spacecraft. As they investigated, they realized the first 3 didn't make sense. The Soviets didn't have the tech. The US didn't have the tech. Oh. And the pilots reporting these things were war heroes, not liars. The turning point was the Charles Whitted encounter. In July 1948, 2 commercial pilots flew past a glowing, cigar-shaped craft with no wings and a powerful orange exhaust. The object rocked their plane with its turbulence. The Project Sign team analyzed the data. They looked at the speeds and the maneuvers. They came to a shocking conclusion. It wasn't from Earth. In late 1948, the Project Sign team wrote a top-secret document called the Estimate of the Situation. It is considered the holy grail of ufology. In this document, the Air Force investigators officially concluded that UFOs were likely extraterrestrial in origin. These sent this report all the way up the chain of command to the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Hoyt Vandenberg. They expected praise. They got a shutdown. General Vandenberg rejected the report. He said there was no physical proof, like a crashed ship, to back it up. He ordered the report to be destroyed. To this day, no copy of the original estimate of the situation has ever been found. Vandenberg didn't just reject the paper, he fired the staff. The believers were removed from Project Sign. They were replaced by skeptics. The era of open investigation was over. The era of the cover-up had begun. In February 1949, Project Sign was renamed Project Grudge. The name says it all. The military literally held a grudge against the UFO reports. The mandate for Project Grudge was simple: debunk everything. Under Project Grudge, there was no investigation. There were only excuses. If a pilot saw a light, Grudge said it was Jupiter. If a radar tracked a solid object, Grudge said it was a weather balloon. If a witness insisted, Grudge said they were crazy. They released a report stating that all UFO sightings were the result of mass hysteria, hoaxes, or psychopathology, which is madness. They effectively told the American public, if you see a UFO, you are crazy. This is where the stigma began. Pilots stopped reporting sightings because they didn't want to be mocked by Project Grudge. The goal wasn't science, it was silence. But Project Grudge had a problem. The UFOs didn't care about the government's denial. They kept showing up. In 1951, a massive incident occurred at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. Multiple radar operators and pilots tracked high-speed objects moving automatically. It was impossible to debunk as weather. The Air Force generals realized that Project Grudge was a failure. By ignoring the data, they were actually endangering national security. If real enemy aircraft did invade, the radar operators might ignore them. Thinking they were just UFOs, they weren't allowed to report. They needed a reset. In late 1951, Project Grudge was dissolved. A serious, open-minded officer named Captain Edward Ruppelt was brought in to clean up the mess. He renamed the investigation Project Blue Book. So, let's look at the timeline. Sign prompts from 1947 to 1948. The honest scientists who concluded it was aliens, their results, they were fired. Then came Project Grudge, from 1949 to 1951. The cynics who ridiculed witnesses and buried the data. Their result? A total failure. Zeds. And finally, Project Blue Book. From 1952 to 1969, the public face that tried to balance science with maintaining order. The tragedy is that we might have had the answer back in 1948. The estimate of the situation told us what the experts really thought before politics got in the way. Project Grudge succeeded in one thing. It taught the public to laugh at UFOs. It created a culture of ridicule that lasted for 70 years. But we are left with a haunting question. What exactly was in that estimate of the situation document that General Vandenberg ordered to be burned? What evidence did Project Sign find in 1948 that was so convincing it scared the Air Force into silence? We may never know. The files are gone. But the truth might still be flying over our heads. What do you think? Did the government hide the truth in 1948? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the archives, hit like and subscribe. Keep watching the skies.